Welcome to the Four podcast.
I think I've got a pretty comprehensive ranking system here on why they are where they are. Now, you can't relate to this because you did win. Now, you only did one league, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 100% success right there, Dave.
I would just retire if I were you.
You think so?
Yeah, you're never going to be able to duplicate this or replicate it again. It's it. It's just going to be disappointment from here on out.
I'm really not sure how it all happened. There was so much luck that happened. So many players were out the weeks that I was playing against them. I picked some players to play some weeks that were better than others, and I just stayed on the waiver wire. That's really what it comes down to. If there's any tip for a mom out there that I can impart on somebody, it is stay active on the waiver wire, because I got Gus Edwards on there, and I know you know that, Dave. I know you know that. That's where you get all your good players. I got Zach Moss, and I didn't really need Zach Moss, but I could have traded him. I got Kyler Murray, all those players, well, except for Zach Moss, but a lot of those players I actually traded and then got some players in return. I had Brock Purdy, who I drafted. I traded him, and I just made a lot of moves. I was probably the transaction leader of the league, I'm guessing. You might have. You were close, weren't you?
We can check that.
Yeah, we should take a look.
You know what it is, Alex, that helps you out? And here's another tip for the moms out there to piggyback on your tip here is don't give up. Don't lose faith. Keep going, because you were kind of a laughingstock for a little bit. I remember people were giving you a hard time, questioning that, why even try, because your team sucked so bad. You got off to a bad start. But you kept positive. You stuck with it. So
yeah, it wasn't that people were really questioning my competence. It was more that people were questioning my intelligence. And I think, yeah, that's really where it was the most personal and hurtful. The first
you don't know about all the stuff people were saying behind your back.
What do you mean? Where people were saying stuff behind my back? What do you mean?
I don't want to get into it, but basically you got through the adversity, and everyone doubted you. Like, everyone thought you were never going to compete. You know what I mean?
No, who's everybody, Dave? What do you mean? You brought it up, and then you said you don't want to get into it.
I don't want to get it. It's in the past. I don't want to sound negative, but everybody said Alex is a terrible manager. Alex doesn't know what he's talking about. Alex will never make it in the big time. Alex doesn't know what he's doing.
The league
Alex
ended 2 days ago. It's not really it's technically in the past. I get that, but it was 2 days ago. So I think just mention who said that I wasn't a good fantasy manager.
It was a Sherman Wilson guy.
Okay,
he was saying that.
Well, there was a lot of luck involved. I'm not going to lie.
I'm going to look at your stats here. So it looks like you had 40 moves. Actually, Bangkok Ladyboys had 44 moves. You had 40. So second place in the number of moves.
Really? Wow. I didn't make as many moves down the stretch. I felt like I had a squad that I could go to war with. So I didn't make as many moves. How many did you end up with? 38?
Yeah, I had 27 moves.
27. And then, so Bangkok Ladyboys was 44. I was 40. Anybody in between you and me?
The spread is kind of weird. Like, there's the bottom 4 teams had double-digit moves, but then the middle 3 teams had single-digit moves. Cassie only had 7 moves, and Gibbs, me, and other Jameson only had 6. So that's not a lot of activity there.
And they were runners up, correct? They were 3rd and 4th place.
Yeah, they played consolation bracket. Yeah. Cassie finished 3rd. Gibbs is 4th.
He had 6 moves.
Cassie made 7 moves.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's super low.
Yeah, really.
But you finished the season on a 7-game win streak, so you got hot. Nice job.
I got real hot. Thanks. I think it was more than 7. I thought it was a 9-game win streak, because the 7 games only reflects the victories in the regular season.
Oh, cool. Then it could be 9. Yeah, I'd have to do a little bit more digging there.
And then I had the first round bye, and then I won the semis and the finals. And you missed out on getting that bye. I think that would have been helpful, of course.
Yeah, I needed it.
Did you lose in the quarter? Yeah, you lost in the quarters, and you needed that bye for sure. You finished 3rd, and you were points wise difference behind Laporta Potties, and that was a tough one. That was tough out.
You're right. You finished out with 9 wins in a row.
Yeah. I was on a burner.
Holy cow, man. Good job.
Thanks,
So
Dave.
this topic's not really going to affect you since you won, but it's going to affect a lot of people out there that are listening that they want to commiserate a little bit and talk about how the big one got away and why they choked in the playoffs, whether it was the semifinals or even the championship. There's a handful of wide receivers that just totally disappeared this year. I just want to talk about them right now. You want to talk about those guys?
Let's do it, Dave. So you got a top four, in other words. You got the top four receivers who disappeared in the fantasy football playoffs for you. That's a real kick in the pants.
Yeah. So I'll say this list didn't affect me, but on behalf of like friends that I had that were, in the playoffs or in the championship, watching this was just a heartbreaker for them. So number 4 is a guy that, a very talented wide receiver, typically very good, but tends to disappear in the weeks that matter the most, unless you go back to 2020, where I think he had 40 points in the playoffs, one game. We're talking Stephon Diggs of the Buffalo Bills. He had 29 yards and 5 receptions. So 7.9 points. That doesn't sound awful, right? But here's the thing. He's your number one wide receiver. You need more than 7.9 points out of Diggs in that offense with Josh Allen. Can't get more than 10 points. It's just crazy. Like that's the kind of guy it's going to kill you in your lineups. Your wide receiver one, who you expect to get 15 to 20 points every week, puts up like 7 points. So that's why he's number 4. There's
That's a
guys
turn.
that based on his expectations and his situation and his output, that's why he's number 4. So if you had Stephon Diggs, you might have gotten bounced from the playoffs, or you might have lost a championship there, depending on how your leagues shake out. Some leagues, championships week 16, sometimes it's week 17. We're talking like week 16 right now performances.
Yeah, and so he started off hot, hot, hot. He's actually the 27th ranked performer in fantasy right now, point wise at 251. This is according to the Yahoo League. And so he starts off super, super hot. He goes for 26 the first week, 13 the next week, but then 19, 36 week 4, 24, 20, 17, 16, 22 through week 9. But then they hit Denver in week 10 and he puts up 6.4 points, followed by 6.7, then 19, 6, 8, and 7. So those last 5 out of 6 weeks are nothing burgers like you're talking about. They're all
Yeah.
solid 10-point totals. He has the one good game against Philly at 19.4. And even though, he could even have better numbers, maybe, of course, but it's really a first half versus second half of the season for this guy.
Yeah, so here's the other thing. You said where he falls among all players. Among wide receivers, he was number 8. He was the 8th ranked wide receiver on the season. So to have him put up 7 points in the semifinals or in the championship, it's just a heartbreaker.
And he started probably at the second or third receiver in the league the first 8 weeks. He was one of the top 4 performers. So for him to slip and then drop to 8, that is a big bummer for sure.
Yep. And so number 4, Stephon Diggs. Number 3 is a wide receiver that had a phenomenal season. He's still even after missing a couple games, he's still the 4th ranked wide receiver on the year. And he is a guy that he's personally on my don't draft list because he screwed me over like 5 or 6 years ago in the championship. He put up a couple points. I just sour taste in my mouth. We're talking Keenan Allen missed week 15 and week 16. So he literally did disappear.
You think he was like kidnapped and then somebody disappeared him? Is that what you're saying? Like he was literally disappeared? No.
Well, it was a heel injury, not a disappearance in the kidnapping sense. But he
Gotcha.
did disappear when you needed him the most as far as performing on the field. So he missed week 15 and 16. You may think like, well, why is he on the list? He didn't play. It's not like he let you down as far as like he went out on the field and didn't have a good performance. This list is going to be kind of mixed up between guys that didn't play at all and guys that played and had really low output. The fact that, if you had Keenan Allen, he probably got you to the playoffs but the fact that he didn't play week 15 and week 16, he did let you down when you needed him the most. At least you knew that he wasn't going to play. That's one small consolation, but he still is on the list. Number 3 right now. Again, he was a 4th ranked wide receiver on the season, and to not have him when you needed him the most, that's the biggest blow. So that's why he's on the list.
I think that's a really, really good call. Now, I am wondering who your number one and number two are, because I wonder if he could actually. I might disagree with. I'm gonna keep an eye on who you call out there, but he puts up 282 fan points, and he's the 20th best ranked point wise leader in the league. And he starts off so hot. Well, the first week, 14 points, but then he goes for 31 points, then 48 points in week 3 against Minnesota. And Minnesota started off the season pretty slowly as well, but that's neither here nor there. And they also did not clinch the NFC North Championship. But I digress because the Lions did. And that's not why we're here right now, Dave. But then he goes on to 12 points, then 21, 9, 14 week 8, 15, 41 in week 10 against the Lions. That game was a barn burner. 27, 22, 10, and 12. And then, everybody's going to have some bad weeks, of course. You're going to put up a sub 10 number here or there. But then just to be completely out in a week 15, week 16, and you're counting on this guy, right? You're thinking this guy's been playing all these games. He might be a little banged up. Sure, all players are at this point, but he's going to put up some numbers for you, and then he doesn't even play.
Yeah, so what's worse, a talented player that is out ahead of time, or a guy that is normally really good and you put him in and he scores a fraction of the points he normally would score? I tend to think that a guy that you put in and he hardly puts up any points is arguably worse than a guy who doesn't play at all.
Yeah, you're right. I think so. It doesn't make it feel any better, unfortunately. It just doesn't. So for him to be the 20th best player throughout the season and then be out, that's tough. That's like if your best quarterback went down.
Yeah.
Close.
Number 2 is your boy, Jamar Chase with the Bengals.
Yeah.
So he missed week 16 altogether with a shoulder injury.
I played against him and he wasn't in there.
Yeah, he was the 9th ranked wide receiver on the year. Yeah, with Burrow, being out and Browning being in, he wasn't as consistent. He wasn't as much of a dominant threat, but he actually was pretty serviceable even with Browning. But the fact that he couldn't play at all, that's got to hurt you, because Jamar Chase probably is your number 1 wide receiver. So you didn't have him. You had to put somebody else in. I think you could make an argument that he could be like maybe number 4 on the list, but I think number 2 is a good fit. He's a guy that you should be able to depend on, but you couldn't. So I don't know if he's going to play again this year, or if that shoulder injury is going to linger to the point where they just shut him down. I don't know.
I think I would have put Keenan Allen in the number 2 spot ahead of Jamar Chase here, because he's been 250 points throughout the year, and he's the 28th ranked player, and he was dinged up throughout the year as well. So right, he came down on his back really hard. Might have had some kind of shoulder injury as well, and so he was dinged up. He started off kind of slowly, but then he puts up in week 5 that 53 points, and then he puts up 14, 25 in week 8 in week 9, and then 23. But then week 13, 31, just some highs and lows again. And of course, you're playing different teams. It's always different. Every variable under the sun is going to be different there.
Well, if you want to know why I ranked him like that, I had Keenan Allen at number 3 instead of Chase, because with Keenan Allen, you knew, like, okay, he's got a bad quarterback situation now, and he missed 2 weeks in a row. So, it's not like your expectations were high, but Jamar Chase kind of like missed the game I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but you weren't as prepared, like, oh, Chase is out, shoot, like there was still a hope that he would play. So with Keenan Allen, the fact that you knew he was going to struggle, and he was hurt for a little while, lessens the blow. That's why he was number 3 and Chase was number 2.
Yeah, Dave, I think you're kind of an idiot for putting them in that order, to be honest. And I 100% think that Keenan Allen should be number 2 at this point. So I'm really excited.
You're going to love the number 1.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see you have a number 1, because I'm probably not going to agree with you here again. But let's go.
Okay, so this is a situation where this wide receiver did play, and he is capable of big games. And the fact that, he's a no-brainer must start every single week, you got to put him in. He's only the 17th ranked wide receiver on the season. Okay, which that doesn't sound very good, but he's still, arguably a top 5 option any given week. And the fact that in the semifinals or finals, he got you 1 reception for 4 yards. Do you know who that is? We're talking Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams. 1.4 points when you needed him the most. That's why he's number 1 on this list right now. It would have been better if they just said, "Hey, man, he's hurt. He can't play." But the fact that you put him in and he got 1 reception in a blowout win, I just don't understand it.
He's so inconsistent. It's so up and down. Week 3, week 1 he puts up 12 points, then 20, then 43 in week 3, and then 15, 8, 4 in week 7 he puts up 12, and then 2 points in week 8. Now they're playing the Lions, and I guess Lions secondary was good, which surprises me, but he's inconsistent right there. Dave, again, I'm just like flabbergasted. I'm astonished. Keenan Allen, he didn't play week 15 or 16. And for Keenan Allen not to have played either one of those games, he was also the 20th point total leader throughout the year, and he's not playing those games. And so I got to disagree
You
with
think
you,
he
Dave.
should be number 1? You think Keenan Allen should be number 1?
Yeah, I think you're an idiot. One, can we first establish the fact that I think you're an idiot? And then 2,
Oh, yeah, we have established that you think I'm an idiot. Here's why I have Devontae Adams at number 1. Week 15, he put up 24 points. All right. So he lulls you into a false sense of like this. I'm rolling. This guy's putting up points. I got to put him in, obviously. And he gets you 1.4. Keenan Allen's number 3 because you knew in advance he wasn't going to play. So
you knew in
it's not
advance
like you
going
put him in
into
your
that
lineup
week.
and then he just shit the bed. He wasn't going to play. You knew he wasn't going to play. So
You
that's why he's number 3.
you knew he wasn't going to play leading into week 15, but that's it. It's not like you knew he wasn't going to play in week 15, like week 8, where he just wasn't going to be there. So I'm just astonished, Dave.
Here's the other thing. I'm looking at stats here. Week 13 and 14, Keenan Allen had down games. He with Easton Stick in and like Herbert being injured, you kind of had to be braced a little bit for the fact that Keenan Allen was gonna let you down a little bit. So
But all
he
of these
got
guys had down
10
games.
points, then 12 points, and then he missed the next 2 games. So it's not like it was a surprise. If you put him in and he got you 1 point, yeah, he would be number 1. But the fact that you knew he wasn't going to play and he was on the downswing, even as the 4th ranked wide receiver, he's the 3rd on this list. You need to come up with a list, Alex. I got an honorable mention. Do you want to hear the honorable mention?
Yeah, I'd love to hear. It's not Keenan Allen, is it?
It's not Keenan Allen because he's number 3 on the list. Have you been paying attention? Listen, this is a wide receiver that I had no faith in whatsoever. There was a trade in our dynasty league where a guy gave up a ton of picks for this guy. And I thought he's not a great wide receiver, and he's going to a terrible team for wide receivers who hasn't had a good passing quarterback in ever. And it's cold weather team, and it's just a dysfunctional team. Can you guess who I'm talking about here?
I think you are talking about DJ Moore.
DJ Moore, you're right.
Yeah.
He's had a phenomenal season. It surprised me. I didn't see this coming at all. I bought no shares in DJ Moore, and he put up 4.8 points in week 16. And he's the 10th ranked wide receiver on the season. So you're going to put him in your lineup every single week. There's no way you're benching this guy. And to have him put up under 5 points when you need him the most, that's why he's an honorable mention.
Well, yeah, he starts off with 4.5 points in week 1, and then 16, 13, 27 in week 4. And then he puts up a 50 burger in week 5. But then it's all these like middling performances at 10 points, 13, 9, 5, 10. And at week 11, he puts up 22, week 12, 22 again, week 14, 26. There's a bye in week 13, but then 9 and 4, and so many ups and downs. I know I'm going to get 20 consistent points out of you. I understand that's not how the league works. I get it. But if there's some way that you can know that these guys are going to give you 20 points, then I'd rather take 20 points as your ceiling each week than 50 and then 2. That's where you get into trouble because you're counting on these guys. You're counting on them to win you a championship.
Okay, so let's just recap here. You think Keenan Allen should be number 1, but you don't have a
100%.
problem with the other guys on the list?
No, I think other guys on the list are good.
Okay, and then you think honorable mention DJ Moore is a good selection?
I do.
Okay, so I'm a total idiot, you think,
You're not a total
because
idiot. You're an
okay.
idiot, but you're not a
Oh,
total idiot. Now,
thanks.
if you change Keenan Allen to that number 1 spot, then you would not be an idiot. There would actually be like a redemption story, like a hero's arc.
I'm not doing it. I'm not changing it because if I had Keenan Allen, I wouldn't be surprised because he gets hurt every single year. Like I can't think of a year that he didn't get hurt or let you down. So the fact that he let people down, it shouldn't be a surprise. So if he surprised you, that's on you. That's why he's not number one on my list. If he's number one on your list, then you're an idiot, Alex.
Dave, I think that was actually a really well crafted argument. Did you chat GPT that by chance?
I've never used it. I'm worried about it like taking over my computer.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
it like merges with your mind at first. You have to stare into the screen for about an hour and then you just stare at the screen for a while.
I'm hesitant about technology. I watched Lawnmower Man when I was a kid,
Oh, yeah.
and that kind of tripped me out as far as like what AI could do.
Yeah, I remember Lawnmower Man. That
You
one was
remember that?
trippy. Yeah. And didn't the vacuum in the pool start going off and they were like sucked the dog in there and killed the dog?
I don't remember all the details other than I
I
was
think.
way too young to watch a movie like that.
Okay, Dave. Hey, we better wrap this baby up. I got some producers in my ears, but should we talk about our sponsor tonight? Should we just like give a little update on what's going on with the restaurant and everything?
Yes, I would like to give a quick shout out to our first official sponsor. It's a restaurant we talked about a month ago, and more details are emerging. They haven't created the restaurant quite yet. There's not an official opening date released, but we are working with them on a daily basis to deliver the most up to date news on the Hole in the Wall Sausage Company. So as soon as we get more information, we're going to be sure to share that with our loyal viewers and subscribers.
It's really exciting. Now, I want to say that I'm really stoked to be right at the front and center of this very new innovative system that they're doing of this sausage delivery system that they do in the restaurants. They've got like unique flavors and sauces. And I never heard of it personally, the Hole in the Wall Sausage Company, but I think it's a really cool concept. It's one of those, why didn't I think of this first ideas that I just kind of kick myself every day for having failed to think of a kind of a multi-million-dollar idea that somebody else came up with. But here we are, a bunch of saps just sitting here talking about them sponsoring us. We should be sponsoring them, if you ask me. We're the saps after all. I digress, Dave. It's awesome. Really excited to be working with them. Anything else before we wrap out, Dave?
I just want to say it takes a lot of balls to create a concept restaurant like this, and we're looking forward to working with these guys more in the future.
Yeah, I'm jazzed. I'm fully, if you know what I mean, Dave. So we got to wrap out. And if you haven't already, then please like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the Fore Birdies podcast.